Good evening, everyone. I'm Scott Lambert, Chairman, and I would like to call to order the May 11th, 2022 East Whiteland Township Board of Supervisors meeting. Please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce our attendees here at this table. I'm joined to my left. There is John Nagel, Township Manager, Peter Fixler on my immediate left, and we have on my far right is Bernadette Kearney. I really, our solicitor, and I'm sorry. And Rich Orlo on my right.
Excuse me.
Tonight, I'd like to start off with item 2A with our executive sessions, which were held on April 21st at 5 p.m., where we discussed legal, personnel, and real estate matters. And then today on May 11th at 5 o'clock, we ended up discussing real estate and personnel and legal matters as well. Tonight is a final meeting for an 11-year veteran who has been our township engineer, Darrell Becker, and he is retiring from Arrow. And we wanted to recognize him tonight for dedication and great service over the years. I know the 5 to 6 years that I've been involved with Darrell. He's been a pleasure to work with. And John, I don't know if you've got any other comments, or Rich?
Okay. When I got here, Darrell was a constant, and he continued to be a constant through the time I've been here, through a lot of different and varied things, and he's always been a consistent professional and always delivered on time and under budget. And so just want to thank Darrell for all that he's done for the staff and wish him the best in his retirement. He'll be missed. And at the same time, we have Al joining us, and we welcome Al as well.
Same here. Thank you for your service and hard work. Done a great job. And now maybe you'll have the time to devote to your favorite golf game. Okay. Well, if you need any help, you know where to reach.
I just want to say to Darrell, it was always a pleasure working with you on the Planning Commission and briefly on the Board of Supervisors. Thank you.
I would like to just say that
Come on up. Come on up, Darrell.
327. I would like to say it's been a pleasure working with this board as well as the previous boards, with the Planning Commission, and of course with staff and your other consultants. As you know, your staff is very knowledgeable and professional, and it's been a joy working with them, as well as the other professionals that the township has hired. So again, I thank you for the kind words, and I thank you for the opportunity to provide services to the township for the last 11 years. So again, thank you very much.
Got a picture, and
Darrell, come on up.
come on. Pictures. Picture time.
Go on in the middle. Yeah, we got to get a good venue.
Moving on to item 2C. John, are there any updates that you want to add with the Route 30 corridor?
There really isn't much new. We did submit the application early for the raise grant for Route 30, and we have status meetings, I think one scheduled for next week. We have a very robust schedule and itinerary, so we'll be having that starting next week. That's all I have.
And just to keep everyone up to date, we had applied for a federal infrastructure grant that was due on April 14th. A lot of people put a lot of efforts into it, and we will find out on August 12th whether or not we were successful in this $25 million grant application, which is highly competitive throughout the country. The scope of the work is a portion of Route 30. Moving on, we will have a discussion pertaining to the Malvern Hunt and the wastewater treatment with John Neal.
We just wanted to give you an update on the decommissioning of the wastewater treatment plant. You are very familiar with what's going on out there. When you look from Swedesford Road, the two lagoons, the one to the right has been completely dewatered. Sludge is cleaned out. 30% of the liner is removed as per the plan, and they're starting to fill that one in. The one to the left, they're still pumping down. They have about 4 feet of material left in there. There's still water coming out. They have to clean sludge. They're estimating about 3 more weeks of that, and then liner gets removed, start to haul dirt in there. So it's taken a little longer than we expected, but we've had no problems. Odors have not been an issue, and we don't anticipate it to be, and everything's moving along pretty well. All right.
Does Chuck have anything to add? I know Chuck's in remotely.
Yes, I am, and I think John summarized everything pretty well. One of the main concerns we had was the odors, and look, that seems to have not been a problem so far, and knock on wood will continue to be that way. And I think within the next few months or so, you'll see both lagoons of those dewatered and pretty much brought up to grade with fill, and hopes to get everything back to the way it was before the plant was even there. So I think everything's on progress, barring any bad weather. So.
And
That's
the
all I
other
have.
thing I'm sorry. The other thing I'll add is that John and Chuck have been very instrumental in getting all the easements through the legal process, and we have a appraiser that's reaching out to the property owners in an effort to get those easements satisfied.
What is the estimated completion for the decommissioning?
Well,
I know, just an estimate.
yeah, they told us 3 weeks on the sludge. Every time it rains, it makes it a little worse. But
Sure, right,
the fill dirt takes time too
sure.
for bringing it in, but you're looking at another 2 months at least out there.
Okay, that's what I figured. All right.
There is a related issue that Joe McGurry brought up to the staff earlier today, and that the developer is interested in possible development on that site, different than the one that's currently been considered. So we'll be briefing the board about that application at some point soon.
Okay, moving on. John, do you want to lead us with the campus master plan?
Actually, I think either Jerry Gorski or Oz are on the call to help us with that. The master plan is, let's just turn it over to Jerry or Oz. I can't see that far. There's Jerry. Good evening, Jerry.
How you doing?
We're doing great. Why don't you
Good,
lead us
good.
in a briefing on what's up with the campus master plan?
Certainly. Since I last attended a supervisors meeting, we've had a number, the project team has had a number of meetings and accomplished all the milestones that we had set out in that schedule. What we want to talk about tonight as the plans come together is a few scope changes that have come up, and to give you some gauging on what those things, how they're changing the overall budget. And, you know, with that, with your feedback, then we can continue with the plans. Our goal is to, we just received from Bernardin an updated set of plans, which I'll discuss the components of those. But our goal is that by the end of July, we will have a set of plans together that we can final price and present that price information to you in September. And that, you know, would be a critical decision point for the board. The first thing that we did is a geotechnical study of the site. There was not one done prior to the schematic design. We didn't find the best stuff. We found we're going to have a solid foundation. I can report that. But we did find rock relatively shallow, and the project calls for some pretty deep cuts in that rock. The only way to efficiently excavate that is to blast. And so we've calculated a price to do the blasting survey, the blasting, hauling off the excess material, because that will create obviously swell. And then finally, the geotechnical study basically verified there is infiltration, oddly, out there. And when you have rock and you have infiltration, most likely that means under that rock are soluble deposits. So we're suggesting that the basins be lined and not lead to sinkholes later. We don't want our police station obviously have sinkholes around it. So all that work to the budget adds $760,260. And again, that's, we believe, a worst case. If we can do the haul off in the winter, the rock material will be desirable, and hopefully a lot of that cost, or not a lot, but you know, significant amount of that cost could go away if we can find somebody that wants to take the material versus having to pay to haul it off. The second thing that has come up is a requirement to fence a good deal of the site and provide 2 automatic gates at the driveways. So basically on the downhill side of the site nearest the main road, we would have a fence that would start at essentially just back from the front of the building, go across the driveway, parallel to the road, along the driveway, all the way back around all the parking, and basically tie into the gun range. That fence and gates and gate controls adds $144,732. Third issue is the shooting range. As Bernardin got into the range design and they talked to their gun range consultant, the shooting range needs to be 3 feet wider for the entire length to provide the right number of lanes. And that 3-foot added width adds about $84,690. On the good news side, as we evaluated the structural design, both Bernardin and we anticipated that the building would be a structural steel building. And through conversations about the exterior walls and different things, we evaluated a way to build the building with bearing wall construction, insulated concrete walls, and concrete deck for the roof and the floor. And that change saved $210,000. So does anybody have any questions on those, each of those items? First, the rock.
The rock, didn't we do soil borings in the very beginning before an engineer even touched the plans? Is this just, why is this a surprise now? I thought that we did some digging before. Whoever knows the
There
answer.
were some test pits that were dug. They were not, it wasn't a full geotechnical study. And I guess at the time, they didn't really have the building layout. Because the test pits and where the building's gonna go and the way the site's designed weren't 100% coordinated. So we had the building laid out. Arrow was kind enough to lay out the building and the driveway and such, so we could do the right testing. And obviously what was done with a backhoe. What we do is we use a drill rig that can get much deeper and tell us, you know, if we do hit rock, is it rock that we can excavate? How hard is it? What's our bearing capacity? That's really what got us going here. Was there was no information for Bernardin to design the foundations based on the very preliminary work.
Just to expand on that a bit, Rich, Arrow did testing, but only at the locations of the infiltration detention basins. So it was very shallow, you know, 4 or 5 feet deep, where we could do our infiltration testing. So that's the only testing we did, and I believe that was the only testing at the site prior to this.
Well, let me ask first. The fence, I need to see a photo of the fence, and what is the need for a fence? Maybe that's an internal question.
Jerry, do we have a spec on the fence material?
So we priced out a, it'll look like wrought iron. It's pre-finished aluminum. It's a barrier. It's not a security fence in any way. But it's, I forget how many feet of fence we have, but it's a lot of fence. You know, basically 3 sides of the site to be developed. And then the 2 gates, the gates are fairly expensive as well because they need to operate automatically and relatively quickly, because every police vehicle that's leaving the site, an emergency, obviously those gates need to open up, or as they return, they need to open quickly. And but it's, you know, basically what we calculated the cost on will look like a wrought iron fence, but it's made of pre-finished aluminum.
So it's like the kind of fence you see around a swimming pool.
Yes.
There's about 800 feet of fence, minus the 2 gates.
They just still need a discussion on the need for the fence, I guess. And we're not necessarily approving a fence right now. We're not approving anything, so we can still get that information.
Absolutely. The fence and gates, and I can provide more information as the team continues to meet. You know, what, just like, you know, if the fence is made shorter or any of those kinds of things, we can work through that. But I know what the idea wasn't from. I think this was something that came up as far as how do we keep the general public from just walking up, other than going to the front door of the building, walking around the building and you know, being there where there's cars parked and those kinds of things.
Kathleen, you had a question? Yes, if you could come up to the mic.
Apologies apologize for us being late, but we work. I'm not sure, because we looked at the agenda and what the order of the agenda was. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right now, we're on item 2F, the campus master plan
The campus master plan
for the township building, police building.
okay. Larry's phone just disappeared. So in the agenda, it doesn't state that it's for the police. I'm just asking you to please be in more diligent communication.
Let me try to clarify.
Okay,
The item that's on board briefings is just an overview of the project, which doesn't just include the police station, it includes everything from the Public
Right.
Works garage down to the fire station. On the action meeting, which is later on the agenda, the staff is asking for the board to approve budget amendments to consider paying for, or at least appropriate, let me correct myself, appropriating money towards these additional needs that have come up, like hitting rock.
but if I'm not here in the beginning of the meeting or at this point of the meeting, it was confusing to us as we walked in late, the agenda, and what explicitly we were walking into at this point. So your clarification is great right at this point, but I want you to know that there are many people who are looking into, as we work, to come to the meetings that mean a lot to me. This does mean a lot because you guys rock. And and girls, sorry. That this is important to us, but I didn't realize as I read the agenda that this was about the police station and work. So could you be in your agenda? And it only came out yesterday, where we looked at it on Sunday. And this was
It came out
revised.
on Friday.
It was revised, though, from what I understand.
Right. We revised
But
it.
yeah, but if it's revised, that's what and I understand. God bless you guys for doing what you do. But we want to be active citizens in this community. And if it's
Okay.
if we read Friday, it's revised on Sunday, we don't read Sunday, we're doing the best we can. So thank you for your clarification. So this is for extending in this spot for the police station.
No, actually, it's gonna go across the parking lot, between the parking lot and the trail and the fire station.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don, anything from the public online? I guess we can talk about the other aspect on the HVAC program.
Yes, Jerry's also gonna give us an update. We're just about there with the HVAC project, and he'll give us a status.
Right, we'll have that, we have the design work all done, and we're in the process of working out how we take the existing equipment out of service, put the new equipment into service. That's part of, obviously, the pricing exercise. We will have the price finished up and written up and out to you all before your next meeting. Right now, that equipment is 8 to 10 weeks from order. So basically, after approval, we would have about a 8 to 10 week, if everything's tracking as you expected, 8 to 10 week procurement piece before we could start decommissioning the old equipment and installing the new equipment.
And just, Jerry, just as background for the folks that are here and also watching at home, our HVAC system here has reached the end of its useful life. The air conditioning system is suspect, and it's prudent upon us to make this improvement at this time. As I recall, the solution that you're designing will likely save us somewhere in the range of a 40% gain in efficiency with the new system that we're putting in place. It'll eliminate working or replacing the equipment in kind, as you would call it, and create direct runs between the main units and the end pieces that are in each of the spaces, each of the office and building spaces.
Right, the
You could
existing
elaborate on that a little
equipment,
bit.
right, John, the existing equipment, you remember, and all you that work in the building remember that you recently lost a control board and a motor. And that's, it's telling us that it's finishing up. So we have to be ready to replace it. Right now, you have a variety of systems in there. And one of the other pieces that we're going to do is to put in a fresh air system that provides calculated amounts of fresh air throughout the building. Right now, only half of your equipment has the ability to bring in any fresh air at all. So we're going to design a new fresh air system. We're going to rezone the system, provide more controls so that you don't have some people, I can't say everybody's always going to be comfortable in any environment, but right now your system isn't laid out to provide even heat and cooling because it's 5 of one flavor and 6 of another. So this will fix all that, and we're just about, we'll have the price done and out to you all before the next supervisors meeting, and if things go, then we can procure equipment and get ready for the replacement.
I will add to the residents that this capital expenditure is going to be covered in part by the American Rescue Plan funds that were awarded to the township last year. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry.
Good night.
Good night. Moving on to item 2H. This is an honor for us on the board to have this on the agenda. Contrary to some beliefs, we do have crime in East Whiteland Township, and to the testament of every member of our police force who are knowledgeable, well-trained, and professional. And like our fire and EMT staff, we remain in good hands with some of the best women and men in the field, making our community here safer. And tonight, we want to recognize, and I will have Chris Yeager, Police Chief Yeager, lead us on these commendations.
So thank you, Mr. Lambert, and you're absolutely correct. We do have crime in this township, and like you said, because of the excellent training that the officers receive, they are good officers, and they respond appropriately, and we have a very high solvent. So normally when we have crimes, they get solved quickly. Very able detective unit, which also does follow up, and so from that perspective, things go well, and yes, doesn't turn out to be an issue. But I thank you for recognizing that, and also for giving us the resources to be able to train like we do. So first of all, the first citation that I want to give is for Detective Sergeant Patricia Doyle, and this was for the human trafficking investigation. It was from 2020. And as I had mentioned before, despite this happening in 2020 due to the pandemic and everything, and some of the follow-up investigations that have been going on and still go on, we were unable to get to the complete point of having all the citations issued. So just recently, we had the one in Philadelphia last year I attended, given a multi-unit citation for the entire police department, and also for the Chester County Detectives and Homeland Security Investigations. We were awarded that for that same incident. And recently, the Chester County Police, the Chiefs of Police Association decided they were going to give out awards. So they gave out 3 awards this year, and we've known for a while this was going to be one of them. So this one is going to Detective Sergeant Patricia Doyle, specifically for her effort in following up, befriending the family of this incident that occurred with the human trafficking of an underage person from southern part of the United States, and wound up here. And over the period of several weeks, she befriended the family, gained their trust, and was able to have some contact made that resulted in the recovery of this person safely. And once again, as I can say, that everyone here, over a period of 3 weeks, almost every cop had something to do with this. Calls coming in saying that this person was at this hotel, at that hotel, at the Wawa. So patrol units were instrumental in following up on everyone and returning calls. So I thank them also. But so those are the 2 for Doyle and for the entire police. Secondly, we had another case that involved an emotional disorder. That was this year. I know I briefed the board on it, but I wasn't ready to present it. But there was a call that came into patrols in the middle of the day saying that someone was having an emotional disorder and that they were possibly going to jump off of a bridge over 202. We had already had one of these last year where someone actually jumped. So when this happened, Sergeant Stefanski and his shift were on duty that day, and as well as traffic units. So there were a bunch of people involved, and I'll give you the names in a little bit. But they ultimately went to the bridge, and this person was getting ready to jump, and Sergeant Stefanski had to get through the fence, grab them, and actually tussled with the person right at the edge of the bridge before taking control and off to other officers and bringing this to, once again, successful conclusion. So we want to thank all the officers that were there that day, and they'll get unit citations. And so Sergeant Stefanski. So Sergeant Stefanski is getting an award for bravery, as in recognition of your bravery and life-saving actions on the scene of a suicidal subject on January 10, 2022 in East Whiteland Township, putting yourself in harm's way to save another human life with dedication and courage. So the second unit citation award was Officer Nate Woodland, who was instrumentally involved in the case. He's not here tonight. Officer Tyler Nace is not here tonight. Detective Sergeant Doyle, again, is not here tonight. She had something come up that she wasn't able to make it. Officer Cecil Abel was involved in the same incident. Officer Dave Mara was involved in the same incident. They're all getting unit citation awards, which reads, in recognition of a demonstrated commitment to life safety by providing exceptional coordination to assist in saving the life of a suicidal subject on January 10, 2022. There is, and Officer Bobby Flommer was also involved, was he? Officer Bobby Flommer was also involved. So thanks to all those officers. Yeah, let me finish up one so I can get my paperwork on. So the last award is for crime prevention and community policing initiatives. This is presented to Officer Pete Dougherty. And Pete came to us a couple of years ago and said he was interested in becoming the relations and policing officer. So we started the process then, and he started kind of taking things on his own and attending events on the weekends, working for different things that were happening. And so ultimately we gave him the decision to take on all these things, and he reports directly to me with what events are coming up, what type of things, giveaways that he has. He deals with kids and things like that. He got a grant recently for 100 bicycle helmets, so he'll be giving those out. At one point we had footballs that we were giving them out. And he also happens to be our bike officer. Mr. Orlo, you'll love that, obviously. But so Pete, if you want to come up. Recognition of your ongoing commitment to the youth in our community by providing crime prevention, education, and increasing public trust, by building relationships between the community. You want to get a picture of everybody like right here? I have one more presentation quickly that I have to do. This is Chrissy Houlihan, the United States representative for our area. Her representative stopped by and dropped off a flag for us. This flag it's a United States flag. I'll show you, it's just a folded up flag right now. But this flag was opened and flown over the U.S. Capitol specifically for us, and she gave us a citation which states the flag of the United States of America. This is to certify that the accompanying flag was flown over the United States Capitol. This flag was flown at the request of the Honorable Chrissy Houlihan, Member of Congress. It is given as a token of appreciation for the hard-working officers of the East Whiteland Township Police Department. Thank you. That's all.
I would also like to add, Chrissy Houlihan was also one of the folks that we had received a letter of support on our grant application as well. She was very supportive of that project, which we thank her as well. Kathleen?
Because I have to say, like, you talked a lot about crime and stuff, but when you guys drive through the General Warren neighborhood, and there's a friendly presence about you guys, there's not a lot of crime that goes on there, but there's a friendly presence, so I so appreciate that feeling that you're looking out for us, and at the same time that you were there to wave to us, say hi to the kids and everything, so thank you for that.
Don, any online comments? No. Okay. Again, thank you, everyone. Congratulations. moving on to item J. Zach, I guess we're going to try to talk about potential dates for our second round of discussions, public discussions for the Route 30 corridor. I do have one lead-off question for you. In the original meeting, Tom Cometa was going to put together some sketches or some examples of some other communities that might fit in the design work with Route 30. By any chance, have we gotten a hold of those yet? And if not, will they be available before the next meeting?
So yes, and there is an item on the agenda a little later for some additional services, some of the work that we've been doing with Tom and his associates to prepare some of these review materials. So we have gotten a start on that. Part of this is just to try to identify a goal date, let's say, to work to, and then we will provide a packet of review materials. We actually sent some updated maps and things like that over to Tom that staff prepared to review and kind of tee up his work that he'll be preparing over the next week or so. So the real reason, sorry, I turned off my mic as if I was done. So yeah, we thought it would be good to identify a date here over the next month or so to have a follow-up discussion, to prepare some of these materials. The dates that we identified through Tom Cometa's office, I can read off all four. There is sort of, there's a magical fifth Wednesday mixed in there, which usually helps for scheduling meetings and avoiding conflicts with others. That is Wednesday, June 29th, which would keep it away from sort of the Planning Commission meeting and some of the other boards and commissions. So I'll lead off with that one if it works, and if not, we can run down the list.
Sold. That's fine. With me.
It is magical.
It's magic. Can't deny magic.
And it's the furthest away from now.
Exactly. We share that goal. Let's keep it in the distance a little bit. Give us a little more time to prepare materials and give everyone the time to sort of wrap their heads around them.
Will we start that one at 6:30?
I think we're flexible on start time, really, yeah.
Better to start earlier, sure. 6:30 is fine with me.
I can confirm that Tom and Aaron are available, but I think that'd be great.
I know Kathleen, you'll be there. 6:30 work for you? All right.
More the merrier.
I forget the first one. Was that just in person or hybrid? I think it was just in person, right?
It was both. We did offer a
It
hybrid
was?
option. Now that I believe at that time the screens were malfunctioning, we're up and running, so I'm hopeful that we'll be able to have a little more interactive
All right.
meeting.
Okay.
My God. So John, if you can give us an update on the cybersecurity rating?
Actually, I'm going to turn that over to Donna. This is her accomplishment. Just want to recognize her hard work, and it was confirmed through a third party recently that our insurance company, Delaware Valley Insurance Trust, recognized that. So, Donna?
Sure. So last week I attended a webinar for cybersecurity through Delaware Valley Property and Liability Trust. And prior to that, I had to fill out a worksheet saying how we protect our networks and our emails and such. And we scored a 97 out of 100 for security that we currently have in place now, which is really good. So. It's a joint effort with everybody, though, to not open emails you're not supposed to.
I'm sure it's not easy to get everybody on board with something like that, so thanks, Donna.
You're welcome.
Donna heads up our cyber police division.
She's now sergeant? I thought she made lieutenant. All right, that's a good goal. you want to take K and L?
Yes.
Or, sorry.
Yeah, there, L has kind of been put in two spots there. We started the practice last year with doing in-service recognition for Juneteenth, and diversity and inclusion training was conducted for our civilian employees, and also for voluntarily for the volunteer committees that serve East Whiteland Township. So we have been able to schedule it a little earlier this year, and so it's scheduled for the civilian employees, it's scheduled for June 15th, and for the volunteers, it will either be Tuesday, June 14th, or Wednesday, June 15th in the evening. That's it.
Moving on to page 2. Steve Brown. Public hearings on our open space pros plan.
Yeah, I'll turn it right over to Bernadette for her to open the hearing, and then I'll have a few words.
I'm going to open the hearing for the, to consider and potentially act upon the amendment to the comprehensive plan, which is for the park, recreation, and open space. And I'm going to mark a series of exhibits. Board 1 will be the board action summary memo by Steve Brown. Board 2 will be the March 2nd, 2022 letter from Steve Brown to John Nagel. Board 3 will be the March 18th, 2022 letters from Steve Brown to the surrounding municipalities, including Malvern Borough, Tredyffrin Township, Willistown Township, West Whiteland Township, Charlestown Township, East Goshen Township, and the Great Valley School District. Board Exhibit 4 will be the March 31st, 2022 letter from John Weller, Director of Planning and Zoning at West Whiteland Township, to Steve Brown. Board Exhibit 5 would be the April 14th, 2022 Chester County Planning Commission Memorandum. Board Exhibit 6 will be the April 19th, 2022 letter from Chester County Community Planning Director to John Nagel. Board Exhibit 7, the April 19th, 2022 memorandum by Thomas J. Committa to Charlestown Township Planning Commission. Board Exhibit 8 is the proof of publication, and Board Exhibit 9 is the actual, what we call pros plan. And at the end of the hearing, we'll come out of the hearing and go to a meeting, and we would ask for action on this plan that Steve is going to now describe to us.
Thank you, Bernadette. The pros plan was prepared by a steering committee made up of 5 township residents, 2 of which were members of the Park and Recreation Board. The Natural Lands and other consultants assisted the steering committee, and they began work in 2019. So this plan has been 3 years, or if not a little more, in the making. The purpose of the plan is to update the township's recreation plan, to create, for the first time, an open space preservation plan, and to further consider trails planning efforts. It's intended to tie those separate but related activities together and serve as a comprehensive plan for them. And as noted, in fact, this plan is an amendment to the township's existing comprehensive plan of 2016. The pros plan is intended to work in concert with other township plans and goals, and not stand alone by itself. Pros plan establishes core values to guide decision-making in future parks, recreation, and open space efforts. It creates goals, objectives, and recommendations for open space conservation, our existing park and recreation facilities, our trails, both current and future trails, land use regulations, although this is a small part of what's really a large document. Programs and services, future organization, considering the creation of an open space committee, coordination amongst our existing committees, and future potential staffing levels, as well as finances. As the pros plan is an amendment to the comprehensive plan, it was transmitted to the Chester County Planning Commission and, as Bernadette noted, to the school district and our abutting municipal neighbors. And I'll conclude my comments with just one quote from the county letter. It says, based on our review, the proposed plan is consistent with Landscapes 3, which is their comprehensive plan, and the scope of work. The pros task force was thoughtful in their decision-making throughout the update, resulting in a proposed parks, recreation, and open space plan that should serve the township well over the course of the plan's implementation horizon. With that, I guess we'll open it to questions or comments from the board.
I have none. I mean, we went through it carefully, thoroughly, many times, several times. So I think the end result is well done and really meets our realistic expectations.
I agree, and then just add that the Planning Commission also has given their blessing on this as well. So it's been looked at many times by many people.
I concur.
Okay. Kathleen?
I understand the past is in the past, but when Chester County mentioned that Bishop Tube was so toxic that you shouldn't allow buildings on it, no one listened to them. I understand that it was a different zoning, supervisors. I love the idea of trails. I grew up in Long Island. We had sidewalks. I could ride my bicycle anywhere I wanted to. I would ask that a trail between General Warren Village and Malvern. Malvern is this close to us, this close, but it's Warren Avenue. And people walk on that road. Someday someone's going to get killed on that road. But my children went through the back way, and they were arrested by the police a couple of times because they trespassed through someone else's property, but to get to Malvern. So I would really, the way that Willistown and Malvern worked together? Is it Willistown? It's Willistown and Malvern worked together to make parks in their connected areas. I would really highly, highly, highly beg you to do something between our neighborhood, Malvern, even possibly down, which I don't know how that would look, down Route 30 into the trail that exists, that we cannot come to be in without taking a car.
Isn't that the Patriots' path that we are beginning to plan already? Yeah.
Yeah, in essence, everything you mentioned, Kathleen, and more is contained in the plan and in other trail planning documents in the township, some parts of which we're actually starting to move ahead with. So I can't promise anything tomorrow or the next week, but things are moving.
I'll add also on the Park and Rec Board, it is part of the discussion with trails and connecting trails. It has not been forgotten, but thanks for bringing it up. So, Donna, any questions? So I guess at this point in time, I will turn it back.
We would
to
close the
Bernadette.
hearing, and I believe Steve is looking for action on the plan.
Yep.
Please.
I'll make a motion to, happy to make a motion to adopt the PROS plan, East Whiteland Park Rec and Open Space Plan, dated March 2022.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes.
I would just add from my standpoint, I think Steve deserves his own commendation for getting this project to the goal line and over into the end zone.
Here, here.
Happy to do it. I'd like to just echo the words of the county. I think it really will serve the township well into the future and really will add to the quality of life of our residents.
Moving on to other board motions and resolutions, under 4D. John, I don't know if there's any overview that you can give regarding the appropriation on the police station?
Sure, I can give you a brief background. So when the original plan that Bernardin came up with was designed, Gorski Engineering then did a price check on the design, and the design came out at a little over $11,200,000 with the highlighted proposed changes to the design and the amenities that Jerry Gorski mentioned tonight. It's a net increase of about $852,000, bringing the total up to, if approved, going up a little bit over $12 million. Now, this is not spending money as much as it is just appropriating money. There is a budget for this project, and so if the board is so inclined to tonight to approve the changes that the staff is recommending, then all we're doing tonight is appropriating money towards this project. On a related note, I would add that to date we have saved over $3 million towards this project, and so that has helped fund what I would call the design or the seed money to begin this project. But in no way, shape, or form means that we're going to spend site work, construction money on this until the board is ready to authorize that in a different action sometime in the next year. So I think that, from my standpoint, summarizes it as clearly and as briefly as possible.
So the consequence of this is kind of a glorified feel-good budget number.
Right. If we were sitting here in October, November, December, we're ready to pass a budget for 2023. This is on a micro level. That's what we're doing here tonight, is we're just agreeing to establish an amended budget for the project, where no money is actually being spent. We're just appropriating it in the event that we do decide, the board decides to move forward.
So putting a line item on a piece of paper.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, that's what I thought.
Any comments out there? Okay.
The other, just before, I'd be remiss if I didn't say this, there's ongoing status meetings with the committee, the staff committee that monitors this project, and we're scheduled to meet again May 25th. And the comments that we've heard in response to some of the things that Jerry brought out today will be discussed in further detail. So any feedback that you can give the staff on that to help answer any questions or concerns that you have will be greatly appreciated.
I'm sorry, John, what was the date? May
25th.
25th. Okay. Any questions? Any further questions? Peter?
None further.
Yeah. Would you like to make a motion, Peter?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposed budget approve the budget amendment to the project for the project budget for the proposed new police station in the amount of $852,304.
Do you have a second?
I'll second, but I have a quick question too. This is just the building. This doesn't include furniture and fixtures and police equipment and any of that kind of stuff. Or does it? Is there a line item already in there for that? I mean, it's a small item compared to $12 million, but
It's a great question.
is that everything?
I will have to get back with you on that.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to
Sure.
defer the
Yeah.
response, but
Okay. Most of the time it's not included, that's why.
furniture,
At least-
fixtures, and equipment.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Repeat the second.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. Usha, if you can give us an overview on the software upgrade?
Yes, so we are using Munis, which is the oldest version available, 11.3, and that's going to be obsolete. So we are requesting to upgrade our oldest version to the cloud-based system, which will, startup cost would be little bit over 40K, and annual cost would be 33K. As of now, we are paying little bit over 18K. So the cost would be higher, but the benefit would be even higher, better. We'll have better cyber security. We will have larger storage, and we will not need VPN to sign on. A user can sign in from anywhere, anytime. And the people who use Munis every day will be more user-friendly for them. And beside all these benefits, we have no choice but to upgrade the system anyway, because there will be no support system for this system that we are using right now. So.
Okay. John, just out of clarification, does something like this fall underneath professional services, therefore it doesn't need to be a bid item, go out to bid?
It's actually single source. I mean, we are committed to the Munis platform.
Okay.
So for us to do something different, we'd be having a completely different conversation. It would be the software as the base, and then we'd have to build the cloud solution on top of that. So unfortunately, software is very expensive, and cybersecurity makes it even ultra expensive.
Sure.
Is there a minimum term that we're committing to as part of the setup?
Yeah, it would be 2 years, like it would be startup cost, and then be 33K for, I believe, for 3 years, and then will be 5% increase after that.
Right. Okay.
If you want to stay with them.
Okay.
Software useful life is usually 5 to 7 years.
And I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, with the current system, we constantly in need of upgraded software and hardware. With the cloud-based, we won't need all that. So we will save money there by going with cloud-based. So.
Okay. Rich, would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, motion to approve the Munis proposal for the software upgrade and migration to the cloud.
And the amount is the 40,000.
Startup cost $40,730. Annual cost $33,239.
Do I hear a second?
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You got it, Usha. Zach, I will leave the new McMahon traffic engineering proposal up to you.
Sure. So as the board knows, the township, along with Charlestown Township, received a multimodal transportation fund grant in the amount of about $1 million to improve the intersection at Phoenixville Pike and Sidley and Yellow Springs Road. As part of that, the two townships committed about $300,000 in local match. So in order to meet that match number, and in order to meet the program requirements, the townships are responsible for some of the soft costs, the design and engineering, and the grant will ultimately pay for construction of the improvements. As part of that, TPD, Traffic Planning Design, which is Charlestown's traffic engineer, will be preparing the majority of the roadway design, handling the utility coordination and the bidding of the project, whereas McMahon will be handling the upcoming topographic survey, right-of-way research, traffic analysis, traffic signal design, since the signal is actually in East Whiteland Township, along with some quality control and review of the TPD work products. So they prepared a proposal for that work. The next step here is to get the right-of-way or the survey and right-of-way research underway so that the plans can be prepared and we can initiate any sort of neighboring property owner outreach and things like that. So this is like sort of the critical next step. All of these tasks outlined in the scope are set to a price not to exceed $56,700. Happy to answer any other sort of general questions, and Chris Williams is on the call if there's any more technical questions that you guys have.
Is it on? There you go. Explain again the commitment of the $300,000 from the developer, how that interacts with this and how we get that.
So in this case, there's kind of a long backstory to that, which I'll not get fully into. There was a number of approvals over the years where the developer of that site at 20 Moores Road, the office building next to Single Bain, had committed to doing traffic improvements. At one point, the traffic improvements were later done by PennDOT. At another point, they were focused on a monetary contribution. All that to say, fast forward to 2020, I guess you'd say, we granted the approval for the land development such that they would either be responsible for doing the improvements on their own, or that they would be responsible for paying a traffic impact fee if we were to pursue this grant, which we were ultimately awarded. All that to say, since we've got the grant, they will be paying their otherwise required traffic impact fee. That'll go into our traffic impact fund, and we'll use that money then as part of, it can be allocated to some of these costs for our local match and for other projects in the township. So they're not, point there being, they're not contributing $300,000 as previously arranged. They're paying their fee and we're going to use it, if that makes sense.
So in the beginning, it would have been one or the other anyway.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. As long as they're paying.
Yeah.
All right.
This project actually is a wider scope of work as well. There's an additional turn lane and some other things that wouldn't have been included in the original scope of work that the developer was on the hook for.
With the traffic signal being in East Whiteland, once it's constructed and exists, then it's our responsibility to maintain, right?
That is to be determined, I believe. Currently, it is owned by Charlestown because I believe it was installed as part of a development project in Charlestown. Once we have some of this stuff in our way, we'll be setting up a series of coordination meetings with Charlestown, and I imagine that'll be probably one of the first things we talk about.
Okay. Good.
Okay. I guess, Rich, if you would like to make a motion?
Yeah, motion to approve the proposal from McMahon Associates for traffic engineering services with the Phoenixville Pike and Sidley Yellow Springs Road intersection for a price not to exceed $56,700.
Do I hear a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And passes. Mr. Neal.
Okay, this is our 2020 paving project. We had the bid opening on May 3rd. We had 5 bidders. The low bidder came in as Innovative Construction Services. We've used them a couple times over the past few years, and their total cost was $495,268.50. The lower 4 bidders were all within $50,000, so it was a pretty competitive bid. Costs are up. Not as much as we thought they'd be. We're paying about $1.50 a square yard more than we did in last year's contract, but all things considered, that's not too bad. So,
No, that's not bad. These projects, is there estimated start date, completion
from
date?
tonight, it typically takes about a month to get the contracts done, and then it's up to the contractor's schedule. We normally pave end of July, August, somewhere in that frame. We normally aim before school starts again.
Okay. All right. 5 bids is pretty good.
Yeah, in years past, we've been anywhere from 3, sometimes you get 7 or 8, but we had 5 with 4 of them that were pretty competitive.
Okay, very good. Don't have any questions. Do you, Rich?
No,
Peter?
No, sounds good.
Would you like to make a motion, Peter?
I would.
I'd like to make a motion to award the 2022 paving project to Innovative Construction Services for the price of $495,268.
And 50 cents.
And 50 cents.
Not that you're picky. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Go to it, John.
I thought we got rid of these vehicles.
Next on the agenda is our Chief of Police / car salesperson, Chris Yeager.
I thought about doing a little skit with like the guy on the Reading TV station where he gets on there with all these things, but then I thought, no.
Anytime. Anytime we need levity.
So this 2000 Suzuki Quadmaster ATV, which was our Dare ATV for many years, sold for $3,250 on Municipid. You want to do both of these with one? And the other vehicle was a 2015 Dodge Charger. It was an unmarked car for the life of it, so it never had most of the things that are on it that cause things to be not worth as much. So that car went for $14,900. So we need an award to sell them.
I'm impressed because as of last week, on Wednesday when we talked about it, the price was only going to be about $2,000 for the Suzuki, and it was only going to be between $9,000 and $10,000 for the Dodge Charger. So you must drive a hard bargain.
It's a collective effort. We tried to sell a police car about 2 weeks ago, and I think the sale price was $7,500, and there were still decals left on the car. The guy came, 2 people came from North Jersey and wanted a $3,000 credit on the sale, and we sent them back empty.
Yeah.
We drive a hard bargain.
All right. Rich, would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, make a
Since
motion.
you're in the car business too?
It's appropriate, I think.
It is, it really is.
I could have gotten more, I think.
Well, I don't know, then maybe we should table this.
No, I wouldn't go that far. Motion to award the sale of police vehicles, the 2000 Suzuki and the 2015 Dodge Charger for $3,250 and $14,900 respectively.
Do I have a second?
I'd like to second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we'll go to our motion to advertise. Mr. Nagel?
Yes, in the spirit of moving fleet in and out, we're also we're asking for a motion to advertise on we are asking for the board to get authorization to advertise for the sale of a zoning vehicle, 2016 GMC Sierra, through Municipid.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to advertise the sale of zoning 2016 GMC Sierra.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. John?
We are asking for permission to advertise the 30-day public comment period for the 537 plan special study. This is related to the sewer sale. The only thing that changed in the plan is just the process that has to happen when the system's sold.
Sure. No, pretty simple.
Yeah, very basic. There's really no changes to it, except a little bit of wording.
Do I have a motion?
After the sewer system is sold, will we even have a 537 plan, or will the plan just say, look to Aqua?
We still own the 537 plan.
Right.
We still maintain it, but we'll be working closely.
Right. Okay. Very closely. Okay.
Yes, very close.
Okay. Yeah, motion to approve the advertising of the 537 plan. Special study, the 30-day public comment period.
Do I have a second?
I'd second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
John, I have one question. I guess we had a little sewer problem this weekend.
Yeah, there was a sewer main break up in the corporate center.
Main break up there.
Yeah, sinkhole opened up. It was off the road, but it took one of our 8-inch, or actually it was 10-inch sewer line. And just decided to go down about 5 feet and wasn't working anymore. Wow. That's repaired, everything's repaved, and it's back in operation again as of yesterday afternoon.
You gonna miss having to do some of that
Not one
work
bit. No, it'd be.
on the weekend? It always
Nope.
Does it always happen on weekends?
I was actually off on Friday, and I got a call Friday morning, and we had to scramble to get that taken care of and bypass pump through the weekend. So
Yeah.
won't miss it one bit.
Good job.
Sewer breaks, no time.
They do actually. They know holidays and weekends.
Yes,
Nighttime.
yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah,
happen
they
during
do.
the day. So.
That's probably true.
Zach, I guess we could move on to some development application extensions.
Yes, sir. Fairly light agenda here. Really just administrative functions. The two properties on South Malin Road that are currently going through land development process to construct office and flex buildings. One at 9 and one at 10 South Malin, so basically one on either side of the road. And also the Knickerbocker redevelopment. Each are, I guess, offering an extension until August 31st. So this is on for acceptance of those extensions.
Okay. Nothing unusual on those, right, at all?
No, they're each just kind of working through the review comments and, have to work through the upcoming planning commission and board meetings, so.
Okay. Don, any questions? Rich, would you like to make a motion?
Motion to approve the extension of time to render decisions for 9 Malin Road Office Flex, Knickerbocker Residential, and 10 Malin Road Office Flex, all to August 31st, 2022.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And passes. And we have a question in the audience.
These two properties is now time. Say it again? Yes. 9 and 10 Malin Road. I read lips. Sorry, Pete. Is now the time to comment. If my comments have to deal with this, is now the time to comment, or do you want me to wait to public comment? Now is the time. Okay. Because as you know, I wrote a letter to you guys dated 4/12/2022, and I CC'd a lot of people on it. I'm sorry I didn't CC the planning commissioner. But I want you to know that we went to the zoning hearing board, and I'm sorry the civics of how a township works, I'm still learning. But you as supervisors see the whole thing, yes? What was presented at the township, at the zoning hearing by JMR on, believe the first one, which was March something, because there were two, March 28th. There was another, on March 28th, the zoning board was so confused by 10 Malin Road properties, which included 9 Malin Road and 10 Malin Road, which was confusing to everybody. I'm concerned because its relationship to Bishop Tube. I'm also, from my property, I can see the property that is included in 10 Maryland Road. So whatever goes there, I will see from my property. The thing that concerns me right now, well, first of all, that you okayed the steep slope ordinance for that. After the 5 years of everything that we've been through with Bishop Tube, that you said that they could, yeah, you did, you said yes. And I have here, Board of Supervisors of East Whiteland Township, hearing date is November 10th, 2021. The agenda was revised the day before, which is protocol, and I know you have so much to do. I totally understand that, but to stay on top of everything that happens here, the thing that disturbs me about this is the packet that was presented to the zoning hearing board by JMR engineers for, what's the name of the landscape company? Evergreen Landscape Company. And in it, it states the finding facts, the things that they were supposed to do to let the adjoining properties know that this was happening. In it, they had the certified letter stamps. I'm going to remind you that this is November 10th, 2021. The date decision that you guys made was Monday, December 20th, 2021, that you said yes, they could dig into the steep slope. What they presented to the zoning board, the certified letters on this are dated March 16th, 2022. That's not good. So for me personally, what they presented to the zoning board, is false information. And you can't even, can I show you? You could hardly. From my perspective, when he presented this, your guys' decision, and this was my letter to you guys, which no one responded to me, which in and of itself is disturbing me. Excuse me. In what is called the finding of facts. Number one, the property is approximately ABC. Number two, he presented use of property is mostly undeveloped. In the findings of facts, the township, number 6, the township introduced the following exhibits. T6, letters to property owners dated October 28, 2021, providing notice of hearing to the property owners adjacent to the property. I'm adjacent to the property. We did not receive anything on October 28, 2021. What was presented to the zoning board was this packet that states, if you just look at it, yeah, there's certified letters in here. The certified letters were for March of 2022.
Kathleen, can I just ask a clarifying question? I don't mean to.
If I could answer it, because this is so freaking confusing to me.
Fair enough. Are the certified letters, are those relevant to the zoning hearing board application, or is the exhibit marked as the certified letters for the conditional use application, which took place months earlier?
You probably know better than me.
I could pretend to, right?
But look further, look back, and you'll see the certified letters dated 2022. I'm just saying this is the packet that was given to me when I asked JMR as they sat over there in the zoning board hearing if I could have a packet that they had. They gave me 2. There's one for 9.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on the fly here, so I apologize. I don't want to.
No, I'm okay with that. But at
What
9,
I take this to be is that they sent letters, which are also included as an exhibit A3, And then there's a subsequent exhibit showing the certified letters for those letters which were associated with the zoning hearing board application.
Go back to 6, under
Okay.
facts.
6 under facts.
It's highlighted.
Uh-huh.
What does it say?
Yeah, and this is what,
We did not get a letter.
well, you may not have gotten a letter. Your property's not adjacent to the
We
property.
we are parties to the party. We see that property.
Right, so the way the notice requirements are written in the ordinance is that anyone who's across the street or contiguous, as in abutting, is required to receive notice. I guess my point is, you may not have received a conditional use notification because it's not required, but you're saying you got one for the zoning hearing board?
We got one for the first zoning hearing board, which was certified. The
Okay.
second hearing board was not certified.
Okay.
We just got it in the mail. My point with this, though, is if this is what the zoning hearing board was presented with, did they go deep enough to see that, did they think that I got a letter if I'm not adjacent to the property and I shouldn't have received a letter? They're saying that I received a letter. Those are dated 2022.
I think what I'm looking at here is that the Exhibit A3 is associated with the zoning hearing board application, and the certified receipts are with A3. What they're referencing is here is Exhibit T6 from the conditional use application.
But that
there
in
is
the
no
front,
A6.
but explain to me, this is why I don't understand what the heck's going, explain to me in the front that this is about the steep slopes. That packet is about the steep slopes. And 9, they say the same thing, and there's nothing here. They didn't,
Bernadette, is that conditional use decision, that first document, is that marked as an exhibit?
Yeah, it looks like,
They're using the conditional use
yeah. and-
decision as an exhibit to
Yeah.
the zoning hearing board application.
Right, this looks like it was just marked as Exhibit A6. The exhibits in the conditional use decision are not attached to this,
Right.
which I would just assume that just the decision would be an exhibit. So that's A6. A1 is the deed, A3 is the letters for the zoning hearing board. And attached to those letters are the certificates, the certified mail receipts, and then these, yep. Yeah, nothing, that's what I would expect, that they would send the letters and attach proof that they sent them.
Right, so the conditional use
so
decision,
it should not have been in a packet with the whole.
No, they're putting in an exhibit to show that they received conditional use approval. They just put in the decision as an Exhibit A6, it looks like.
within that decision, they're listing the exhibits from the conditional use process. So an exhibit to the zoning hearing board application
Is
is the
separate and
conditional use
distinct.
decision that they received previously. Within that decision, it references the exhibits from the conditional use process. So there's two separate sets of exhibits.
So one exhibit is the fact that our supervisors okayed a steep slope variance.
They approved conditional use
Well, that's what the
application.
first
No,
exhibit,
it's
Variances go to the zoning.
Yeah, variances go to the zoning hearing board. This is a conditional use application.
who said yes to the steep slopes? To going into the steep slopes?
They sought conditional use approval to disturb areas of steep slopes for road and parking lot uses.
And who okayed the steep slope?
The Board of
That's
Supervisors
what
has,
that was my point, okay. So thank you for clarifying, it's all in a packet that,
I definitely understand the confusion now. It seems like they're all one packet or that they're cross-referencing one another, but they don't. It's two
Yeah.
separate
yeah.
bundles.
To prove the steep slope disturbance, and you're saying we're not adjacent property owner? That why we didn't get notification? Because I know it was on the agenda for
Sure.
conditional use, the one which was in
November
November
10th.
right.
We
So-
we revised, and this is the thing for us as community members, the agenda was revised on the 9th.
But was
we
it,
read the agenda prior to that. Like, sometimes when the agenda is revised, it's just like,
but was it revised for that specific?
I don't-
Okay.
we don't know.
Usually they're highlighted.
It was
That's the only reason I ask.
2021.
Okay, gotcha.
But, so my question is, shouldn't the adjacent property owners be notified of the potential of the steep slope disturbance?
Yeah, and I believe they were. I think the,
Okay, so I know that for a fact that the Buetners, whose property butts up right up to 9 Mellon Road, I
Right.
asked them, they said, nobody down the street, all the way down Fonstock Road, nobody got those notices.
I can't speak to that. We don't require certified mail. We require first-class mail. We do advertisements in the newspaper, those types of things. We don't require certified. Oftentimes they are provided. It's always good to receive them, but it's not required.
So there's no proof that you guys notified us?
Well, it's on the applicant to send the notification. They, I believe, provided proof that they sent them out. I don't know that they provided proof that they received them back. Probably given the timing of when the notice goes out. It's usually about a week in advance.
Yeah. There's a couple of things for me, that we worked hard to get the steep slope ordinance in place. And when someone on Spring Road, Bob, who I forget his last name, just bought some property from the railroad to make sure that that land behind us wouldn't be disturbed and would be not only for us as human beings, but for the natural environment and for the animals. And the thing, I am very disturbed, and I wrote this in my letter to you, which I'm really upset that I didn't get a response from anybody, is that the township ordinances were established to protect the present and future residents of the township. The variances to those ordinances, even in small incidences, degrade the strength of the ordinance itself and incrementally diminish the health and well-being of the township residents. You know my story. You know my daughter's a survivor of 3 brain tumors, and she was the one on the pallbearer for her friend who died at 16, who lived north wind, south wind, the north wind doth blow. I'm not sure I understand why you allowed the variance to allow him to go into the steep slopes.
Again,
We
the
didn't
board
allow a
is,
variance. This board does not grant variances.
So
This
where
board
did-
grants-
where-
This board is authorized to grant conditional use approvals when the specific criteria of the ordinance otherwise is met.
So you gave
And
them
that's the law.
approval then? It's not a variance to an ordinance. You approved their quest to go into steep slope.
For certain uses, like the road,
I think it was the road in the parking lot.
The parking
road
lot,
and the parking lot.
right.
Not
And
a
it's
building.
behind Bishop Tube, which concerns me greatly. It's next to Valley Creek, Little Valley Creek, which just greatly frightens me. And it's a landscape company who will have chemicals, salt. And when he sat there, and someone asked him a question about, will you cover ABC or will you expend? He goes, well, we'll see. But of course, they'll do whatever the township asks them to do. Well, so did CubeSmart. CubeSmart said there would not be anything but samples on the west side. I understand that, though, but this is my point, Rich, is the fact that it's my township. My family and friends live here, but somehow the developers have, CubeSmart, half the west side is, and that's when we came to every meeting, while my daughter was on chemo, by the way, we came to every meeting, and I looked like a fool because I said to Caligreco, can you please just let us build a park there? And he laughed at me. He sat in that chair, and he laughed at me. I don't know. So do you have to give them approval to dig into that steep slope? Let him find someplace else to put his property. He knew what he was buying, by the way, because he bought it in 2020. He knew what that property was. He knew what the ordinances here in the township was. And from what I understand, hardship is the reason to give a variance or the approval of.
Again, not a variance. This was
Okay,
a
the
conditional
approval, you
use.
gave him an approval. Same for me personally, I don't care, Bernadette. For me, at this point, you said yes to digging into a steep slope, whether you call it a variance or approval, whatever you want to call
But he
it.
doesn't have to prove a hardship is what I'm getting at for a conditional
So
use.
then why did you say yes to him?
Because he met the standards of the conditional use. It doesn't have to.
We have an ordinance that says you can't
Right.
dig into steep slope.
Right, and in the ordinance, you're allowed to have a conditional use to do what he asked for if he meets the standards.
And you have the ability to say no to him, yes, no?
Legally, if he meets the standards, we're supposed to grant the conditional use.
There you go.
Right, if he
There you
meets
go.
the standards in the ordinance, that's why the conditional use would be granted. If he didn't meet the standards, then we could deny it, then the boards could deny it. But if he meets the standards, that's why it's in the ordinance.
We have another question. Where is she? Barbara, go ahead. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you. In the interest of being succinct and coherent, I'm going to read some comments that I wrote. I might be reiterating a couple of things that Kate said, but I feel that it's important to get this stuff to the board. I, along with a few other neighbors in the village, attended the March and April zoning board meetings regarding 9 and 10 Malin Road, and we expressed concerns. Like Kate said, we felt that a variance should only be granted in case of a hardship, and the property owners knew what they were purchasing and knew the ordinances, so we don't feel that that's a hardship. Little Valley Creek and its watershed are designated exceptional value. There should be no reason to allow additional impervious surfaces that will generate even more stormwater. And a permit from the PADEP can't be given for the stormwater management plan, since increased infiltration from their two designed best management practices for stormwater management, which is a rain garden and an infiltration basin, will add subsurface flow through the Bishop 2 parcel, which is downgrading and downstream hydrologically from the subject parcel. That's a little science talk that I got from somebody. The zoning board, while empathetic with our arguments and our concerns, approved the variances. Following this, we sent a letter to the Pennsylvania DEP in Norristown. In a brief, we noted both of these parcels are up gradient of Bishop 2. Development of these parcels, including the resulting stormwater runoff and infiltration, are sure to have impacts on the neighboring Bishop Tube site and to affect the toxic contaminants that saturate soils and groundwater. Basically, the variances that East Whiteland approved will allow runoff from the landscaper to carry all potential toxins down through the Bishop Tube site and into Little Valley Creek and elsewhere. Now, we support small business. We have nothing against the landscaper, but when this comes to and involves Bishop Tube, that takes it to a whole different level. And you guys should know that. So we are frustrated and disappointed that with the history of the toxicity of that area, which we have continually brought to your attention, you gave approval for landowners and you're jeopardizing the health of township residents. So I ask you to please give serious consideration to our objections to these variances and this development. Thank you. And lastly, I just want to say that, Kate always makes a point at these meetings to thank you guys for what you do for the township. And I hope you would do the same for her. She comes to these meetings, she is passionate, she's emotional, and she has damn good reason to be. So I hope that you appreciate her as much as she appreciates you. Thank you.
Barb, what is your last name?
Arnold.
Thank you. There's another question. Debbie Mobile, go ahead.
Hi, Deb Mobile, 42 Village Way. I just wanted to reflect on the frustration that I hope that you understand is coming out of this meeting. I was unable to attend the April zoning meeting. I was at the first one where they postponed the decision. And nobody seemed to know what was going on. But part of the issue, I heard the developers say things like, well, we sent those letters to the wrong place, but we have a corrected copy in this packet. And, oh yeah, well, the township already said that we would be okay to do that. We just have to work out the details. And we just want a little more parking lot. We just want a little more deep slope. It's only 5%, 3%. What's happening is these developers are going back and forth from the township supervisors to the zoning board. And the zoning board says, well, the supervisors say it's okay. And the supervisors say, well, the zoning board says it's okay. And this goes back and forth, and they are picking away at the regulations that we've established in this township. They're nitpicking it little by little. And, you know, once again, at the end of the road, 15 years from now, when they turned that whole area, not that it already isn't, my favorite phrase I can't repeat, but it ends in the word show. So the blank show that is already there has gotten worse. And the next set of supervisors say, well, we weren't here to make those decisions. That wasn't us. We're doing the best we can. We're asking you to do the best that you can now and stop letting businesses eat away at our community, particularly when what they're trying to do benefits the business, but not the health and safety of the residents. Okay? It just, this goes on and on and on. And I wish you could see a tape. Again, I was not at the April meeting, but I was at the March one, and I wish you could see a tape of what went on in that. It was absolutely incompetence, and the fact that we are listening to these developers, after sitting through that, I wouldn't trust anything they said. And I just, you know, I am asking you to uphold your promises to the community, because they're not upholding their end of the bargain. We need for you to uphold your promises to the community, to follow the letter of the law, and, you know, and to start telling businesses no. You know, I'm sorry, but we have laws here, we have regulations, we have citizens to protect, and you have to say no. Thank you, and please try and get a hold of a tape of that zoning. I think you'll find it very interesting. Thank you.
Has the written decision been issued yet?
No.
I don't believe so. You would, if you're a party to it, you likely would have been
No,
informed on that.
They gave the zoning hearing board gave them permission for, Larry? Setback for preservers, for coverage and for setback. So there were two variances that they asked for. It's in here somewhere if you want to read them. It's your zoning board. One of the things though, so they gave the yay to that, but the second zoning hearing, because they were so confused at the first, was just what you said, was crap. When Deb talked about legalities and the legal ramifications, and I just want to remind you again that here in Pennsylvania, in our Constitution, that we have the constitutional right to clean air, clean water, and a clean environment for us and future generations. It's in our Constitution. For what I understand, for all these years, I believe it was in the Constitution since the 70s, it's been swept under the rug. It's time to bring it to forefront. So from what I understand too, the Constitution is above any other law. So use it, please. Unless I'm wrong. Bernadette, am I wrong? Is the Constitution above every other?
It depends on how the
The con-
justices determine and interpret
What about
law.
you guys? If that is our constitutional right, and we all in this room are up to uphold that right, including me, that's our job, to uphold that constitutional right.
Has the written decision been issued yet? Yes or no, or do we not know?
I do not know. I'd have to check with
Okay.
Ted. I was not at the hearings.
Okay.
But I
When-
believe the decision was made, but I don't think a written decision has been issued.
Okay,
It would
because
be my
that
guess.
starts the appeal period, the written decision. So
Correct.
when it's issued, circulate it, we'll take a look. All right?
And Zach, was it 2 9 mail-in and 10 mail-in, or was it 1 hearing?
Yeah, there was
Okay.
2 separate applications, one for each property. The applicant name was the same, which I think was part of the confusion.
Let you know, though, which was really confusing, and the zoning board, like, pulled them out on it. The organization that, for the 2 properties, is called 10 Mail-in Road Associates. So it's 10 Mail-in Road Associates, but 9 and 10 are underneath that title. And I do really appreciate everything that you do.
I'm sorry, Zach, is there a time frame that we're expecting that?
So if the hearing was a week or 2 ago, we should have it within the next month for sure. And I can follow up with Andy Rao and with Ted when, I'll talk to Ted tomorrow.
Okay. Moving on, I guess, on zoning for property maintenance codes. Recent activity. Is Ted or Steve, you gonna step in?
Yes, me instead of Ted. You have the report. The report was in your packet.
Right.
I mean, I could go over it, but rather than do that, I just thought I'd see if you had any questions. And I'm not quite sure how many properties Ted was involved with. It looks like close to 20 in the last month that he's been actively covering barking dogs and, well, typical.
Looks like a lot was resolved just from sending a letter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ted, I think Ted's very good at this, but right, it's the usual kitchen sink of abandoned vehicles and high grass and things like that. Early morning trash.
Just so the board is aware, and I think most of the organization is aware, Ted is retiring. He will finish up at the end of June, but he's working 2 days a week.
Okay. So we have no consideration for sending the solicitor to the zoning hearing. Next on the agenda is public comment. Donna, do we have anyone waiting?
We do not.
Okay, thank you. Anyone in the audience? Seeing none, we'll move on. I will read the consent agenda, and as usual, we'll pause. If you've got any questions, hold me up. And if staff has any comments that they would like to add to it, again, interrupt me. Starting on 10A, approve the meeting minutes from April 5th, 2022. Ratify the payment of the bills for April 2022 in the amount of $398,230.32. Accept the treasurer's report as of March 31st, 2022. Steve, I may ask you just for a brief comment here pertaining to the approval of the 3,300 for the 2022 summer camp scholarships. 2,000 has already been approved, 1,300 additional required to allow up to 6 full scholarships. And I thought it would be worth noting, in the event there's someone in the audience would like to know about that scholarship and how and who to contact, would be worthy.
Sure. This is our first year offering these scholarships, and so it's been a bit of a trial and error process, which is why this has been, I think, on your agenda at least twice, if not 3 times, because what we're learning is there's a fair amount of demand for them. And we've been partnering with Katie Markley Elementary School to help identify families in need. And what we're offering are scholarships to East Whiteland Township resident families only, not any other families in the Great Valley School District, just East Whiteland residents. But for children that are eligible for camp, we're offering a full scholarship, which is $550. Right now, I've been in contact with 6 families. 3 have gotten back to me, provided the application, and we are doing very basic check of income to check to verify their income levels. And it looks right now like we have five children that would hopefully receive these scholarships, and we would have 1 more available if the board funds the 3,300.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, if anyone's interested, they should reach out to me.
Okay, thank you. 10F, approve payments number 2 and number 3 in the amount of $465,872.30 to Miko Constructors for work performed at Backton Hill Park, for a total paid to date of $501,633.39 out of a budget of $1,488,789. Most of that labor-intensive effort came from our retiring Darrell Becker. G, consider acceptance of a proposal from Tom Comita Associates for ongoing planning services related to the Route 30 corridor for a price not to exceed $8,300. And 10H, approve agreement for the township indemnification with Locust Lane Craft Brewery LLC for 4 concerts and 2 movie nights in township parks during 2022. Approve agreement for the township indemnification with La Familia Cellars LLC for 4 concerts and 2 movie nights in the township park as well. Approve a license agreement for parking with Workspace Property Management LP for 4 concerts in Valley Creek Park in 2022. A waiver of alcohol for summer concerts, a waiver of alcohol prohibition for summer concerts, 4 of them, and the movie nights, 2 in Valley Creek Park and the Battle of the Clouds. Waiver of alcohol prohibition for summer concerts, the 4 and 2 movie nights in the Valley Creek Park and the Battle of the Clouds, which appears to be a duplicate. How about that? I'm on there. Approve actions regarding the establishment of the Board of Directors of the Friends of East Whiteland Township Parks and Recreation in order for that entity to receive a 501c3 designation. Steve, maybe we can list out those individuals.
Can I ask a quick question? What's happened at Battle of the Clouds Park that we haven't listed for alcohol prohibition?
Just, there's a movie night that is planned for there, so it would
Oh.
just be a waiver of our policy for that movie night. Again, the waiver of our policy is only for the 4 concerts and the 2 movie nights, no other days or nights or anything.
Where do they show the movie, on the soccer field or the baseball fields? Just curious.
Yeah, I don't know. Last year, we did it in Valley Creek. So I'm not sure. That's something that the Park and Rec Board is coordinating with the company on.
Okay. And next year we'll be able to have events at Backton Hill Park, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay, good.
Battle of the Clouds would be great for people cruising down the trail. Because there's not a lot of parking, or probably not enough parking at Battle of the Clouds.
Yeah, there's, I think the plan is to also work with Philadelphia Memorial Park across the street to allow parking there, and then we'll have to work with the police on a crossing. Back to the consent agenda that Scott just covered. The initial board of directors for the East Whiteland Township Parks and Recreation would be Chuck Barbera, Tim Phelps, Aaron Tedesco, Deb Abel, and Amit Kohli.
Thank you. Moving on to 10N, approve the Chester County Declaration of Public Trust, covenants, conditions, and restrictions for recordation for the Backton Hill property. And that would conclude the consent agenda. Questions? Comments?
None.
Hearing none, I will hear a motion.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda for May 2022.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And passes. And any other items out there?
Let us not forget this Saturday at 10 a.m. at Down East. We have a ribbon cutting ceremony for the Biddo Memorial Park. Right, Steve?
Correct. This is a joint effort of the Biddo family working with the Where Angels Play Foundation and the township to create a memorial playground for their daughter, Julia, who was lost to a cancer a couple years back. I was out, I guess it was yesterday, and there were approximately 60 volunteers. The playground had been erected on the pad, and they were pouring the rubber surface today. And John's forces, our Public Works Department, were instrumental in preparing the pad for the concrete, and they'll have some work to do. A lot of feet mean a lot of grass has been trampled, so there'll be some restoration, but it really looks nice. The new play equipment, there's a new swing set, a zip line that wasn't there before, and this new equipment is really nice. So it really is going to be a nice event on Saturday and a nice memorial to their daughter.
That's great. Rain or shine?
Well, they do have a rain date for Sunday. Right now, I haven't heard anything. So if it's not 10 a.m. Saturday, it would be 10 a.m. Sunday.
Okay. Hearing nothing else, meeting is adjourned.